c-span.org/distance_learning. Okay, c-span. Yeah, that's a good idea. I will write it down. My handwriting is about as good as a pharmacist's. Okay, cspan.org, and then everything is upper and lowercase, it's fine. It's lowercase. Distance, and then an underscore learning. So you can pull these up on your computers right now. Okay, cspan.org. Again, it doesn't matter, you can do it all lowercase. And I've loaded about 3 or 4 programs that we've done. And you'll see the format of what the class is. You can look at it yourself. Steve introduces the classes that are participating. He has a guest with him. And we have had everyone in the political process from Karl Rove and Newt Gingrich, and we had Walter Cronkite while he was still alive, the famous American journalist, Chris Matthews, Brian Williams, who's the NBC news anchor. We've had any number of politicians. We've had every living press. I guess they would all be living. We've had every press secretary, and Steve has them in the studio. He conducts the interviews. He has great access at C-SPAN to a tremendous library of footage, and he makes very generous use of it. And then he brings the classes in on split screens, and we all get a chance to ask questions. It's very interactive. Again, let me just see if it wants to, if it plays it. The reason it's so small is they just have not invested, they've not had the money to invest in a more sophisticated player. And that's a shame. Okay. One of my other bad habits is I tend to put my glasses down, and then I'm blind. So they'll show up.
Next to the mic.
You found?
You got it?
Well, they work. Okay.
Second one is working. April 8th. The first one.
Drop one more time. I'm not going to waste a lot of time with this. If you have Real Player, it should work just fine. It does on my computer.
The first one, September 16 is not working. The April 8th works just fine.
I apologize. One of the difficulties of online courses. Another one will try.
Yes, this one. This one works.
Here we go.
On behalf of the students joining, point that out. On behalf of the students joining us at the University of Denver at the Cable Center, at George Mason University of Fairfax, Virginia, and from Midtown Manhattan at Pace University, New York, I want to welcome the president of the museum, one of the founding members of USA Today. Thanks very much for being here. That's very distinguished. Where is journalism heading today?
You know, it's a good question about what journalism is heading. I think the broader question is where is the news and business heading? Because I think journalism is a line away. We'll never lose our passion for knowing more. But the more information people have, the more they want. That's not an issue. I think there will always be a place for journalism. The question is, are people willing to pay for journalism? And we still have to figure out how to do that. You know, a lot of people talk about how sudden this information revolution has been, but it's really not.
Okay, I'm just going to skip around a little bit here on this on the slider and see if I can show you a little bit different.
It strives to go to.
So I said, it's not the world's most sophisticated tool.
They don't follow the same scheme.
Do you want to respond to that point?
Oh,
Sure,
this
well,
was,
actually, YouTube's.
This is very interesting. What Steve did was, as he brought Ken Paulson, who was at the museum at the time and is now returned to the First Amendment Center after having been editor of USA Today. This gentleman is is one of the founders of, I think, either Google or Yahoo. I can't remember which. So he caught him in, brought him into the class, and then if we stayed with this, you would see the classes asking questions.
Third-party sources report that we advertise around 12% of our content
Yes.
on YouTube.
Responding, there was one wonderful answer, and again, if there was a timeline on here, I could get it. It was at about 58 minutes, and it was just wonderful, where Ken Paulson talked about print versus online media.
America is kind of our ambivalence about freedom of speech. The truth is that the land of the free has become the home of.
And I can summarize what he said. He said, imagine, if you will, if instead of the internet in browsers in 1995, somebody, I'm just looking to see if there's a anybody have a newspaper around? I like props. Anybody have a newspaper?
Yeah, I have some, one question.
We'll pretend just for a minute that this is a newspaper. Imagine if somebody in 1995 brought you this product that was a broadsheet, was in broadsheet form, had 4 sections: a news section, a local section, a style section, and a sports section. You know, that all news until 1995 had been on the internet. We'll say Mr. Gutenberg in 1452 invented the printing press. Invented the internet, not the printing press. But now someone's invented the printing press, and we can have this product that is in all these 4 sections, and it's colorful, and we can deliver it to you. We'd probably be thrilled to death with it. And that was the argument he made with you. I don't agree with the. I don't think I agree with the argument, because it's still something that's brought to you, and we live in an area. We live in a time where you want your news when you want it, where you want it, and how you want it. And if you don't deliver news in that fashion, you're out of business. I don't care who you are, New York Times, the Washington Post. So we have these variety of speakers. Last Thursday, we had Lee Rainey, who is the Pew Research Center Internet and American Life Project Director. Ken Paulson, I told you about. Ben Bradley is a name that you likely know, the longtime renowned editor of the Washington Post. John Heilman and Mark Halperin were authors of a book on the Obama campaign and election called Game Change. And this is pretty exciting for the students. I mean, these are people that, I'm pretty good at networking and knowing people and bringing them into the classroom, and I do this a lot, but we can't touch guests like this. We also will use Skype. I imagine you're all familiar with Skype, and I'll use Skype. For instance, I have a friend from Washington who is now an anchor in Anchorage, Alaska. And he's just a great guest. And what I have done, and what I do is every year, we do a class and we just Skype them into the class. So I can get people from all over the world. I could have any of you talk to, if we arrange this, talk to my students. But this this class, we meet once a week. We have to meet in the classroom. Now, let's say a student misses it. Okay, you're saying, well, that's not very online. That's kind of like semi-hybrid in the way you put it together, and it is semi-hybrid. This is shot and done live on Thursday. On Friday, it's televised at 5 p.m. on C-SPAN 3. It's edited and put up on C-SPAN 3. Then, after that, it's the edited version is taken and put into this very bad, archaic tool, and the students are able to go back and make sure that their quotes are accurate, that because I tell them to take notes while they're in the session, to write down the time that someone over the course of the hour and a quarter that they talk, so that they can find it on, as I said, this kind of inadequate slider. And of course, it's there for anyone around the world to access and look at and see and partake in.
How long does a session usually take? I mean, if, for example, you have a guest on Skype in the classroom and it's live, so how long would you be?
Well, if I do something with Skype, it's pretty much as long as our patients, as their time and patience hangs out. I mean, these sessions are an hour and a quarter. They're 75 minutes. Steve edits them down to about an hour for television purposes, and then they're uploaded at about an hour, unless they're truly extraordinary.
No, my point is, you have a lecture with the students, so would this be the whole lecture, or would you talk to the guest for some time, and then you have the guest offline and have a discussion with the students without?
We make it as interactive as possible. In other words, I may start, as Steve does, with some interaction with the guest, but we bring the students in very quickly. One of the things that I do is, it's a journalism class. So asking good questions that don't state premises and end in a question mark is something we work very, very hard on. If you're talking to someone, if you're familiar with Chris Matthews of NBC, who's a popular pundit in this country, if you make a premise and there's a hole in it, he'll shoot you to pieces. With a politician, and I don't care, well, I can't speak for Saudi Arabian politicians, I can speak for American politicians. If you make a premise and they disagree with the premise, they will attack the premise and never answer the question. They just love it when you state a premise or an opinion. So one of the things we teach our students is short, quick, question mark. You're not there to show the speaker how smart you are. You're there to gain information for your audience. So it's important to know who your audience is and to ask good questions. So that's a big part of the class. If we're going to interact with famous people, we need to ask good questions. So I mean, that's a different type of thing we do, but Skype's a great tool, or iChat if you're a Mac person, for bringing guests into the classroom. I made some friends about 4 years ago when I spoke at the first online education conference in the Arab world in Sharjah, the University of Sharjah, and I made some friends there that I'm still able to call on and through Skype bring them into the classroom. So there's no reason why your classrooms can't be an international classroom.
But you also invite guests into the
Absolutely.
classroom?
I mean,
And
there's
do you videotape that and like put it online as well?
I can't, these things, the intellectual property belongs to C-SPAN. So we would love to take the video and then keep showing it on WGMU TV, but we have to access through C-SPAN so that they get the traffic for it. I have done programs where I brought students in. Jack Sensor, the dean of our college here at Mason of Humanities and Social Science, is going to lecture on a book he wrote recently on the DC sniper incident. And we're going to use a technology called Classroom Connect. I'm sorry, Classroom Capture, and we will tape it for use in other classes, because I can't ask Jack to keep repeating the lecture in a half dozen different classrooms. So thank you. So I mean, there's a variety of ways to do these things without an out full online experience. As I was saying before, I've had requests from South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia to teach an online sports writing class, because they don't have that in their countries at their universities. The good thing is they all talk English. They all speak English. For me, the bad thing is the time zone differences, but there's a lot of different technologies that I can put together to provide classroom and then create times where we can intersect and interact. And that's something I'm really excited to do. It means I have to up my knowledge of their native sports, because the sports that are popular in their country aren't necessarily the sports that are popular here, but the way you write about sports is universal. So I think this is something I can do, and as I said, these things are a continuing education for me, because I learn from the diverse populations that I come into contact with. This has been great fun. We're funded through this year. We're looking for additional funding to continue it. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to to do this. Are there other questions? Where would you like me to take this in terms of your needs? And how does this perhaps intersect with some of the other things that you've heard today?
Like I said, you are very different and exceptional, and because many of us don't know who you are, and I know what important. This is one of the important speeches for us. This is so important that I will make it available, with his permission, to the World Wide Web, to my friends all over the world. It's very important. The reason it's so important, because we are in professor of physics, chemistry, math, sciences. We just know our content. These are the people who makes our position with one-liner make a difference. Especially, I spent 15 years to edit that special issue on e-learning in the Middle East and North Africa. It took me 15 years to convince. Obviously, my publisher is Jewish. I believe you're a Jewish faith.
Yeah.
I'm in Islamic faith. So we need to work together to get our message out. Bringing people like the people he brought. I know in the United States what is CSPN means. So I'm bringing, this is the best thing I brought you today. So you should be talking with him to make your message, taking your message out to the world. I've been in this country all my life, almost 31 years I'm in the United States. So I can see where we are disconnecting ourselves. So connecting would be happening, not staying in our field of chemistry, not staying in medicine, not staying in sociology. We need to come up with the one thing is that what is the ultimate message to our students. So what Steve is showing is so important to me, because he's bringing in his class with the connections, the name famous people. If I can bring in my George Washington University a guy like a director of SCOM, is a big thing for me, because that's how the students got attracted. Celebrity. You see? Same way, I like Steve to share with us how, if we are in the United States or in Saudi Arabia, how can we communicate with the leaders in our field, regardless of any other disciplines? What is the technique that you use? And what is the online methodology, online delivery methods that we're going to use? How we start the dialogue, how we can invite them, how they can be part of our what do I do. So share those things with you, because you are not like a regular PhD professor, coming from university and becoming a professor. You have been into the bloodstream of George Mason University as a known journalist. And it's a great honor to have you in the campus, and this is all of the provost field.
It's my honor to be here with all of you.
Yeah.
And something that I can do and would like to do through the auspices of George Mason and also through the auspices of C-SPAN is I can bring this class very easily to you, or I can bring individual classes. Let's say there's someone that the courses that you teach are associated with, and there's an American speaker, a politician, or a media person that you would like in your classroom. We can schedule that speaker. If you have the video studio technology at your university, and I saw this at the University of Sharjah, they could have very easily participated in a program like this. I can bring this into your classroom and bring you into our classrooms. And then we're able to do exactly what Badal is talking about, and that's create the type of bridges through education and through interaction that will break down barriers that keep us apart, rather than bringing us together and making our children's lives better, which is what we all do. We all do the same thing. And if I can make my children's lives better, and you can make your children's lives better by us working together, then I think our lives have meaning. So, not to be preachy about it, but I really believe in the type of effort and cross-cultural programs like this one that Badrul's doing. What I'd like to do real quick, since this maybe was so small and didn't give you a great picture, let me just try this over here. I got 6 pictures from our last class, or from a class last year, and this works pretty well. So if I do this, and I go start slideshow, and I can just...
Is there an iPad?
Yeah.
Yes, and
Oh, I'm sorry about the music. But it's just a slideshow with some, but here's the class, and I've got the screen behind them that I look at, and then they're looking at a screen to my right. Now I'm going to bring this around, and we can just look at this slideshow. Slideshow. Joe? And there's my students in the studio that you saw there, the guest. It's my toy. I'll do one more back here, and then we'll... It's just 6 pictures.
This way, David. So these photos has been taken while the students they are seeing, the
I shot them. I just shot them, loaded them, and then I'm just doing an iPhoto slideshow to kind of show them. But I just wanted to get a sense of what the classroom was like, how we're interacting via video studio with 3 other places: C-SPAN in Washington, Denver University, and Pace University in New York. So it's really a lot of fun. And what's nice is this is we have a certain student population here. Denver is very different. Denver's a very, very different university in terms of the student body they attract, and they're certainly not at the University of Denver. And it's a great school, but they're not as diverse as we are. They're not even close. And then Pace University is very New York. Very, very New York, and what you would expect a student body in New York to be. So we're able to kind of mix classrooms over similar content and subject matter, and it's really, again, in kind of a cross-cultural way. I mean, imagine if one of the classes that was involved in this was from Saudi Arabia.
The problem is the timing. Like,
how many hours were we apart? Is it 9 or 13 or something?
Seven
How many?
from essence.
7 is nothing.
Not
7 is
that.
doable. 7 is doable. 13 gets pretty hard, but I mean, yes, it is. But we're not talking about doing this every single week. But there's no reason why, on an occasional basis, we could not maybe try to do this, even if we did it once or twice in a semester to begin to make inroads. It's a great way for us to bring our political and media leaders to you, and a great way for you to bring your leaders to us. Something that at a session I went to yesterday, a political journalism session, that they said was, in American politics, 1/6 of all the time on our shows, our news shows, and our political shows are the candidates themselves speaking. 5/6 are all the talking heads, the people talking about what the candidates are saying. So we're not hearing it directly from them. Here, we have an opportunity to sit down with